So if when you wake up, all you're seeing is an alarm clock that looks like this, or like this, or like this, in this video, I'm going to be talking about a morning routine that actually works so you can get up earlier, feel better about yourself, and get more each and every day. So let's jump into my computer here. I'm not going to waste a single moment of your time. Let's talk about this, and I'm going to explain exactly what I implement into my days when it comes to waking up early and having a consistent morning routine that actually works. Okay, not some overcomplicated, extravagant morning routine that you have to do 10 different things before you start doing things. Okay, I'm going over my very simple one that just works. Okay, if you want to get up before, say, 7 a.m., before 6 a.m., before 5 a.m., whatever your day, whatever your goals are, this routine can be applied to it. So let's talk about it. So the morning routine that actually works. Okay, so I'm not gonna beat around the bush or anything with this. It's very, very simple. So let's get right into it. Number one on this list is go to bed earlier. Okay. This is very, very simple, very, very commonly talked about, but for the most part, no one's doing this. Okay, no one is doing this, especially in this day and age where it's like, okay, I'll sit down, I'll go to bed, and I'll pick up my phone, and then 2 hours later, it's like, oh, it's 1 a.m. This is what you need to implement, and it just comes down to straight up discipline. Let's talk about a few more points that will help you out with this. So basically, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay, so if you don't plan to go to bed before each and every day, when you go to bed at night, you don't have any kind of plan in place. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. I'll go to bed before 11 p.m. If you're just saying to yourself, I'm gonna go to bed early tonight without actually having a set time in your mind before you go to bed, it's gonna be very, very difficult for you to actually achieve that. Okay, so make sure you're planning a time every single night, whether you wanna get 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours of sleep. Do the math and work out what time you have to go to bed. Okay, so if you have to get up at 6 a.m., make sure you're going to bed and you want to get 8 hours of sleep, go to bed at 10 p.m. Okay, try and fall. Well, you might want to go to bed at 9:30 and then fall asleep by 10. Whatever it is, okay, make sure you calculate the amount of hours you want to have to go to sleep, what time you want to get up, and then you'll figure out what time you need to go to bed. Going to bed earlier signifies that you've planned for the day ahead. Okay, if you go to bed at 12 consistently, you go to bed at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. consistently, you know right away there is no plan in place. Okay, so make sure you're setting that plan up. You have those times in your head. When the alarm clock inevitably goes off at 5 a.m. and you went to bed at 1 a.m., but you have to get up at 5 because you have work or you have some kind of obligation, and you don't feel very good about it, you feel drowsy the whole day, you're gonna know exactly why, okay? It all starts with planning a time to go to bed at night. So now that we know we need to plan a time, let's talk about number 2 on this list, which is don't overcomplicate your morning routine. Okay, if you start overcomplicating your morning routine, it's just gonna get messy and you're not gonna wanna do it, okay? I've done this so much in the past where it's like, oh, I gotta do this before I start working or I start doing whatever it needs to be done in the morning. And it gets to the point where it's like, I don't feel like doing this, so I'm less likely to get up early in the morning because there's just too many things in my head going on. So what I've found is simplifying things and not overcomplicating is the key to getting up early and having a successful morning routine in place. So right off the bat, if work needs to be done that day, get the work done first, okay? Just do it, get the hard thing out of the way right away. I don't care if you want to meditate. I don't care if you want to go to the gym. I don't care if you want to do this, and this. Get the work done. You'll feel good about it afterwards. You can kind of go on with your day. If I have something that's just lingering in my mind all day long, it's very, very difficult for me to sit down and do other things before I get that thing done. Okay, it just kind of lingers in my head. I can't focus on other things because there's just one thing that I want to get done. If I don't do it first, my workout's gonna be bad. I can't like meditate or whatever. I can't do anything effectively. So make sure you get that very, very difficult thing done first. That's kind of controversial because a lot of people like to do meditation or whatever before they do anything. Go ahead and do that. For me, this is what works. So like I just said, no need to meditate, ice bath, go for a walk, read 50 pages and cook a big breakfast and take all your vitamins and make sure that your coffee is at 132 degrees. Don't worry about that kind of stuff, okay? I know that lots of people do this kind of thing, and I'm not saying I didn't do it because I have gone through the paces when it comes to figuring out what works for me. And personally, this is the stuff that works for me. Don't do all this stupid stuff in the morning, okay? Like it's healthy, don't get me wrong, but it's taking away from what the primary purpose is. And what I find with these kinds of things is if you're someone who has a lot on their plate and they're doing a lot of work, you start doing these things in the morning, you're basically just procrastinating the actual thing you need to get done, and you're doing all these things just to feel productive, right? So cut these things out if you want to actually have an effective morning routine. What I like to say is coffee, okay? Because I'm someone who needs coffee. That's the only exception, okay? If you have to get some work done, have some coffee, get some coffee in you and get going, okay? Keep it simple and keep it black coffee. Nothing in the coffee to overcomplicate that either, okay? Don't overcomplicate anything. Do what needs to be done, get it done, and move on with your day. It's the most effective way to get up in the morning. So the third thing on this list, after you figured out what time you need to go to bed and also just not overcomplicating things, is staying consistent, okay? This is very, very obvious. I bet you probably could have picked before I even said any of these three. You probably would have like, Dane's gonna talk about these three things in this video. You probably would have been right, but I wanted to make sure that it's clear, okay? If you wanna learn something, you wanna make sure it's 100% tested and true, you just do things over and over again. And in this case, it's going to bed at a certain time, making sure you stick to that time, not overcomplicating things, and then being consistent with everything. Okay, that is just the ultimate formula to having a successful morning routine. So let's talk about staying consistent. The best routine is the one that you stick with. Okay, if you're not sticking to it, it's not really a routine. Okay? You can't really call it a routine. It's not really allowed. It's just something that you're doing. It's not really a routine that you're following. So it takes 21 days usually to build a habit. Okay, if you want to turn that habit into a routine, do that thing for 21 days. Okay, go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, don't overcomplicate it, and stay consistent, which is basically building the habit. Once that turns into a routine, you can start implementing changes or additional things that might actually add to that routine. But like I said, don't do too many things or you're gonna overcomplicate it, okay? If you wanna do coffee and then meditation, that's fine, okay? I'm not saying don't do it, but in the beginning, if you really wanna be effective with this, I say don't overcomplicate it at all. Keep it 100% simple and just stick to the very basics. Do not introduce 10 habits or new skills in one day. It's just gonna overwhelm you and it's gonna make you want to overcomplicate things. Stick to a couple of tasks, get them done, keep it simple. The overall goal with this is keeping things consistent and simple, okay? That's gonna create the growth, that's gonna create the routine, that's gonna create just a positive compounding effect that once you start implementing all these things I'm talking about in this video, you will see results, okay? It's really just comes down to simplifying everything and doing what needs to be done, all right? And what you'll see with most routines is that you wanna do all these 10, 20 things beforehand, and you wanna put 10 different things into your Notion planner and make sure you're doing all those things, checking them off before you start doing your day. And at that point, it's like 10 a.m. and you haven't gotten a single thing done, but you feel super productive, but you've used all this energy to do these unproductive things that, in my opinion, are just kind of useless. So let's recap. The three things in this video are figuring out how long you want to go to sleep, what time you want to wake up, and then calculating. So if it's 8 hours, like I said, you want to get up at 6, go to bed at 9:30 and fall asleep by 10. Okay, that's number one. Number two is don't overcomplicate this process. Don't do a bunch of different things, tossing all these different things in your morning routine. Stick to one thing and one thing only, especially in the morning. If you have one big task, get that task done and then move on to the next. Don't have a bunch of distractions, a bunch of text messages, a bunch of social media stuff going on. It's gonna take away from your routine. And finally, be consistent with this entire process, okay? Do it for 21 days straight. Be disciplined and consistent, and trust me, you will start to feel like your morning routine is starting to pay off and this thing is starting to fall into place. That routine is gonna feel like second nature at that point, and it's just something that you start doing instead of something that feels like, oh, this is so tough, I gotta get up early. Once you start doing it consistently, it's gonna feel normal, okay? So be consistent, pick a time to go to bed, and don't overcomplicate the process, and you will be able to build a successful morning routine. So guys, that is pretty much it for this video. Before you jump off, I wanna make sure that if you're not yet, make sure you join my 100% free Discord community. It's for creators alike and just basically improving your lifestyle, kind of like the topic we have for today's video. 100% free, and in there's a whole chat area. There's an area where you can send in Instagram reels or edits that you're working on for feedback. And I'm in there. There's other experts in there answering questions all the time, whatever it may be. So if you're interested in that kind of thing and you liked what you saw in today's video, give the community a try, join it for free. It's the first link in the description down below. I'll see you in there. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, I do try to post videos just like this one and other videos about Instagram, TikTok, editing, all that kind of stuff every other week. So if that kind of thing interests you, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.